the Chicago Bulls, man. The Bulls currently right now are the ninth seed in the Eastern Conference. They are, I got the stat right here. Hold on. So it's ninth seed right now, currently 26-29. When Zach LaVine went out, they were one game behind 500 right now. They are 3 games that are 500. And they are, right behind the Orlando Magic. I'm looking at their schedule right now. They start again on what did I get right here? The first game back is on the 22nd. They will be on the road, at home against Boston. They got the Pelicans out there. If I'm looking at the schedule, you got Cleveland, you got Milwaukee, Sacramento, Utah. They got a tough schedule. Looking at the remainder of the season, I personally think this team is just going to be stuck at the ninth seed. I don't see a way that they get over Orlando because they're going to need Orlando to lose more games than them. And looking at this tough schedule that the Bulls got, I just don't think that is a possibility. And I'm not worried about Atlanta jumping them either, and they fall to number 10. I think we're on a collision course for a Bulls Hawks playing game at the United Center. But as far as the question about how much better have they been without Zach, I think they've played better because it's easier when you don't have 2 guys who need the ball consistently, like you have with DeMar and Zach, and of course now you got Kobe, so Kobe's gonna need the ball as well. But I don't know if they're quote unquote a better team. I think they're the same team, really, no matter if he's on the roster or not. And I think that's the problem here. But before I get into another, the Bulls aren't doing shit rant. I just think, they're on a collision course for the ninth seed, and maybe they get lucky. Not get lucky. You don't have to be lucky to beat the fucking Atlanta Hawks. But maybe they beat them, and then they face the winner of the 7 and 8 game, which right now it will be, I think it's Orlando, and I think the 7th seed is the Nets. Gonna get a clarification on that right now. So the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference is Miami Heat. So they'll be playing the winner of the loser of Miami Heat or Orlando if they do win that play-in game against the Hawks. So that's just pretty much where it's right now. They're 4 games behind Orlando for the 8th seed. Orlando is 5 games over 500. They're 4 games behind the Heat as well. I don't think they're going to catch either one of them. Dante, where do you see the rest of this season going? And do you think that this is a better team without Zach LaVine?
Yeah, I think the chemistry is definitely better without Zach. I think even though Zach was a better 3-point shooter, is a better 3-point shooter than DeMar, there was still a lot of redundancy there when they're on the court together. And so, without a point guard, a true point guard, because Kobe's made the leap, but he's getting buckets. Kobe's a scorer. And so without a Lonzo Ball type there to really facilitate and break down who gets what and when they get it, like I said, it was a lot of redundancy. So I think they are a better team overall. But with that being said, they're still a very mediocre basketball team. So they're gonna try hard. Which if you want to give them kudos for that, sure, you do that. But I think this second half they will make the play in. They may even win a game this year, but I don't think it goes any further than that. I can't see them.
You don't see a world where they actually get into the actual playoff bracket.
No, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. Not enough size. Not enough points. Not enough buckets. I should say no. Don't see it happening.
Yeah, I just think and that's the fucked up part about them is if you look at the top 6 seeds and being a 5th or 6th seed isn't like a fucking accomplishment, but if you look at the 5th and 6th seeds on here, it's Philadelphia, Indiana. Those 2 teams, even Joel Embiid to be back by the time the playoffs come. Those are teams that are worlds better than what the fucking Bulls are. So it's I'm trying to give this a professional media look of talking about this team, but it's just really hard when you look at the rest of the basketball that's being played in this conference. You got a team like Orlando who really isn't, that good of a team. I mean, they're better than what they've been over the last couple of years, but it's kind of funny that you did this trade with the Orlando Magic and they're in front of you in the standings. And they're a way better basketball team than you. Bang, what do you think about where the Bulls are headed? Do you think that this is a better team without Zach LaVine, and how far do you think they can actually go this year?
Yeah, they are a better team without Zach. In fact, I'm gonna put kudos to myself because I remember when I was arguing with a couple of homies about Kobe White when he was drafted. I was like, no, I think he's gonna be okay, and Katz was talking me down, and so really waiting towards the end of the season to be like, I told you so, niggas. But yeah, I think they're better without Zach, but I also believe that they're not better enough to get through or get away from, excuse me, the playing game. I just think teams are just a bit better. I think that, after this season is over with, they really need to take a look at the pieces that they have on the team, and assess where they want to go. Now, when we had Herb on the show, Herb, Herb was just like, yo, they feel like they are a couple of pieces away of competing. They just want to kind of like toil the line and maybe get lucky and stuff like that, which is not the way to go. Things, but I'm also looking at the team, and I'm looking at DeMar DeRozan being a free agent, looking at what you're trying to figure out with Zach, and when you think about it, the player with the most trade value is now Kobe White. So are you looking to make Kobe the centerpiece of a team? Or are you looking for him to be a cog in the wheel? But the way that this team is constructed, ain't nobody coming here. Right? Ain't nobody coming here. So I look at where AK comes from. He comes from the Denver Nuggets, and they kind of did the same thing. They drafted well. They was drafting like 15, 16, 17. You was getting a whole bunch of Will Bartons and shit like that. So it's like, I mean, we laugh,
Yeah, that's
but
true.
like they was drafting a whole bunch of like Will Bartons and stuff like that. That was great role players, and they just looked up that Jokic was somebody that they drafted at the same time a Taco Bell commercial was on. They end up looking up on that shit. So maybe AK looks at that shit and is like, "Yo, lightning could strike twice," But what does like we also got to look at what happens with West Side West. Mark Eversley is one of the leading candidates to
Charlotte
take over the
Hornets.
Charlotte Hornets. So it's like, okay, what do you do to replace him? You know, it's a lot of stuff that can go down with that one thing that happens right there. Which sorry, I'm still trying to figure out what do other than bringing in DeMar DeRozan.
It's a
So
diversity. I hate to say it. It's diversity. I hope that this rest of the season and however it ends, it will give this front office a decision that they have to make. Because last year, when they played two playing games last year, when they won the first playing game in Toronto, 109-105. That was the DeMar DeRozan daughter yelling game. And then the second game, which I remember very vividly, which is against Miami Heat, because I was at the Jameson pub over here in Culver City with Pav, and I remember they was up like 15 points, and then they just jagged it and let Jimmy Butler do them in, and they lost. And what made it even funny was that was the team that made it to the NBA Finals. They have to make a decision. Like if they find a way to finish this season off in the right direction and win two playing games, because 9 times out of 10 that's what they're gonna have to do unless they jump to the eighth seed and win that one. Um, they're gonna. I feel like they have to make a decision. So like, if they go to a play-in and they flame out like they did last year, you got to break it up. Like at this point, what's the fucking point? Like I know you're hell bent on trying to make this core work, and I feel like there's part of me that believes they actually in their mind think that number one, Lonzo's gonna play all of next year, and that he's gonna play well all of next year. That's what I feel like they honestly think is gonna happen, and I don't think that's the best way to go about it. Like that's you like I hope that he plays to the point where it's good, and he actually gets his feet wet and plays good basketball. That's what I would want. But if you're relying on him to be a difference maker next year, like that's just not going to happen. If they flame out in the play-in, like I'm pretty sure they will, they need to trade Kobe White. That's your most tradable, your most tradable asset. Casey Johnson said that they're going to that's looking like they're going to pay DeMar DeRozan, which as much as I love DeMar, I see no reason why you do that. They do. You gotta make a decision here. Bang! If we wait for Dante to come back, and then we'll transition to baseball, and you can get up out of here. Do you think that maybe the way the season ends could decide the direction, or do you think they're just hell bent on saying no matter what we gonna run this back?
I think they're hell bent on no matter what we're gonna run this back. This team should have been tore the team down. They should have been did it. Actually, while I'm happy about Kobe White and what he's done, he should have been traded already. Like, this shouldn't even be happening with the Bulls right now. DeMar DeRozan has shown interest in reing up, but they've been hesitant. And shit, Zach LaVine would probably been a Detroit Piston right now. But he was like, nah, fuck that. I'm not going to Detroit. Let me go ahead and get this surgery.
Let me get this surgery.
Let me go ahead and get this surgery. So I think they're hell bent on seeing this through, and I also think they're hell bent on getting second and third tier free agents, just like they did with DeMar DeRozan. Like, let's be real,
He's second tier free agent.
Yeah, he was a second tier free agent, and it just so happens that LeBron didn't want him. And that's why he ended up here. Because LeBron James would have been like, no, I want him. He would have been a Laker. So I also believe that they are looking at who could potentially be free agents next year. And they probably see a lot of worth in a lot of second tier free agents and a lot of like Will Barton types. I'm going to continue to use that. They see a lot of value in those types, and they feel like with great coaching, they could put some stuff together. Like, and let's be real. Like, when you look at some of the teams like the Bulls, unless you have a star, you need a coach that's going to put a great game plan together. And you need a GM that's going to, look at everything he needs to look at between analytics and chemistry to put a perfect team together in order for you to consistently be up in that 4 and 5 range. Like, hate to say this, y'all, but they're looking at the Miami Heat as a example of, what you can do. They're looking at Bulls culture, but you still need a Jimmy Butler, and there ain't a lot of Jimmy Butlers out there.
And you had a Jimmy Butler, but you decided not to pay that Jimmy Butler. So it's a whole bunch of self-inflicted wounds. We talk about Heat culture, they have culture. The Bulls do not have culture.
And paper on these player haters, old news, money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna